Nah, I'm your king.
Avengers Endgame. That's the format. Timestamps below. Let's get to the beginning and work our way down. I thought this movie was fire. 10 out of 10. I said 10.1 out of 10 in my last review. This movie was phenomenal from beginning to end. I like my favorite movie of all time. Used to be Infinity War, and it used to be Civil War before that. And like these guys keep topping themselves. Avengers was my favorite movie at one point too. That circle shot, which they revisited. Should I just start there? They revisited every movie and referenced every other movie in the MCU and made it better. Royalty checks for everyone. The guy who plays Howard Stark, royalty check. Peggy Carter, royalty check. The Ancient One, royalty check. They got Dr. What's his name? Banner's Ross. What's Ross? General Ross. That dude was in there for a little short time. Nick Fury was beside him on the other side of the funeral. Spoiler alert. Yeah, spoilers by the way. So, who else got a royalty check? I'm just gonna get into it. The beginning of Avengers Endgame was the trailers that we saw. So every scene that we saw these dudes for the first time was featured in the trailer. They didn't expose anything. There was no lying. There was a shot in the trailer where Scarlett Johansson was shooting the thing. That wasn't in the actual movie. I said I don't remember it, and I saw it 3 times. So that's fine. Like, and you're not taking away Hulk running in Wakanda. You're taking away a scene that we all laughed at, anyways. But we did see Ant-Man running with the fire behind him. It was actually because Avengers HQ collapsed. So what are the ramifications for that in the future? I don't know. But the trailers were great, and I hope studios learn. And after this movie possibly becomes the highest grossing film of all time, that these guys need to know that we already know if we're going to the movie theater. Some of us don't really need to be sold on stuff like this. And keeping it a secret allows for the experience to be better. I know some people got Iron Man dies, or some people got spoilers, you know, the nature of the internet in the 2019 world that we live in. But that's fine because there's like time travel wasn't even mentioned in the trailer. There's so much you don't know that it lessens it, because like you didn't know Captain America was gonna square up against Captain America. Someone's spoiling for you. They're gonna just say blank dies. Usually that's how spoilers go. But they don't say anything about the time heist. They don't, like, you were good if anyone spoiled a little something. I didn't get anything spoiled for me. So I was watching YouTube, all right, and the people were talking about spoilers, and I'm like, oh yeah, and they're like, we don't do spoilers. I'm listening. Yeah, someone tried to spoil something for me, but I didn't let them. All I read was Mjolnir. This is my face as I'm watching. I'm like, okay, pause. I think like, and that was when I made my whole YouTube, no more Instagram, Twitter before the movie starts. But like people spoil things just by mentioning. So I knew Mjolnir was going to be in this movie, and in my head canon, I'm like, okay, so Doctor Strange, he's going to show up. He's going to go to Norway where the hammer fell into pieces. He's going to time stone reverse it, and that was what would happen in my head. But no, it didn't happen like that. I didn't know Captain America would lift the hammer at the end, which was the greatest positive of this movie. Every theater in the world must have clapped for that. I'm not a clapper. I don't make it clap. But a lot of people around me were clapping the loudest for that scene. A lot of people like Spider-Man too. When he swung in from that warp hole, that got the loudest kind of clap. As far as comedy, there were 3 moments that stick out to me. Captain America telling the old one, you know, I can do this all day. And then, yeah, I know, is what he said afterward. They do a good job of making me smile with the first line. And then, yeah, I know, made me just burst out, ha ha ha. Like when Thor at the end of the movie, I'm going everywhere in this review, said to Quill, of course, of course, of course. Like by the second, of course, I'm already smiling. And the third one just gets me to laugh. The Russo brothers are pretty good at that. There's the jab and then there's the knockout blow. It's like, yo, we made you move your mouth. Now here's when we're gonna make you make sound. And stuff like like when Ant-Man was taking that photo for Hulk and the kids. You know, even thinking about that makes me laugh. And he tells them, you know, I'm Ant-Man and you want a photo? Oh, yeah, you guys don't know Ant-Man. It's fine, it's okay. Yeah, just take the goddamn phone. See, like I was smiling the whole time, but when he hit him with goddamn phone, I laughed. Which is a swear word, isn't it? I don't understand PG-13. I don't get it. There were a lot of adult themes in this movie that they dealt with, or at least themes that I thought were adult, but still were referenced. And they got a couple swear words in there. Shit. They got a baby to say shit too. I don't know what's rated R and what's not. Maybe because it was a minute over 3 hours, you're probably allowed by the Motion Pictures American Association that you can swear in a limit. Like, who knows? Who cares? Like, I'm above 18 years old, so even rated R movies I can watch. And I wouldn't let a kid watch this movie neither. There was a little bit too much stabby. Crazy, right? Like, boobs is too much. But stabbing and killing and blood and everything is, who knows? Like, I can explain that to a kid. I can make a lesson out of it. To have my son, look, that's what happens when you play with knives. You know, I can make a teaching moment out of that. With boobs, it's more like, well, if the little kid has siblings, then he probably saw it at home. This is an Avengers Endgame review, and I'm talking about stuff like that. Let me get back to the computer notes where I was positives. I was still in the positives. It's gonna be a long one. Yo, Thanos not being a liar throughout the movie, it's consistent with his character. Something he told Gamora. I taught you how to do this, me. Taught you this, me. But I never taught you to lie. That's why you're so bad at it. So, as he was being killed, and he told him, I killed the stones. I used the stones to destroy the stones. And that was what gave off that signature. That was him telling the truth. And Nebula said so right before he got to die. Where did I say? Where am I? Say green. I can do this all day. Jim Starlin's cameo in the group talking about not Alcoholics Anonymous. It's not veterans. It's something for the snap. That doesn't exist in our world. But that little group thing. Good to see the comic book. When Ant-Man's older mask showed up, which was the original one from like the 60s or whenever Ant-Man started, that was a good nod. I didn't read those comics, but I know it existed. So that silver big mask was nice when they went to 1970s. We got that joke about Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit. That was another one. Those 4 jokes stood out. The one that I just mentioned. That was really, really cool. Now, Captain Marvel's post-credit scene not being in this means like they took some stuff out, which I'm fine with. I'd rather have Captain Marvel not in this movie a lot than to have her in this movie and do something ridiculous. So in her movie, solo movie, spoilers for that, the most epic thing she did was she touched some spaceships, and because she was touching it in contact with it, crash, 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 bang, 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 and it exploded. They filmed this one first, so they knew that, okay, that's as far as you can go with this character, nothing too much more, because we don't want to see her being all sick in 1995 as she's learning her powers, which was the story of that. And then all of a sudden, she's doing less in this movie. Nah, she was fine. She was consistent, is what I'll say, so I like that. Even if it means not getting to see her a lot, she was in the first act. The whole time heist, she did not play a part, and then she came in with the hero's save. They even played her theme. That would be the theme. I could have played it underneath, and I'm going to play it underneath my voice as I whistle, because post-editing, Hail Hydra by Steve was a cool, like, elevator moment. You could say that he never saw people actually do the Hail Hydra, because if he did, he would have known Hydra was around. So he never actually got to see that maneuver done. But my headcanon, after the fact, he saw some videos. Black Widow released a bunch of the Secrets of S.H.I.E.L.D. online, so he probably saw a video of a couple politicians doing the Hail Hydra, and that's where he picked it up. By 2023, he was well versed in the Hail Hydra bullshit, so he said it in an elevator. And this was before events of Winter Soldier, so none of them would have known that their little Hail Hydra secret was known to the public. Headcanon, you fix things just like that. I make a lot of fan excuses for this movie that they don't provide in the movie. In their defense, it's not the point of this movie. It was a time heist, and it was a story of the 6 Avengers from the first movie with Ant-Man joining him, solving the problem of the Infinity Snap. More positives from this movie. They explained why there won't be an Iron Spider anymore. I saw him, Peter Parker, as he was getting shot by those blue beams when Thanos made it rain fire. Boom, boom, all his legs were gone. Now, we know what happens at the end of the movie. There's no more Iron Spider suit, so he's not going to be no protege of Tony Stark anymore. I'm sure War Machine is going to lose his abilities. As soon as he runs out of ammunition, that's it. He wasn't the brains behind that suit. I'm sure he knows how to charge it in his years of being War Machine. He knows a little something something, but he's not the creative force behind that, so his powers are gone. Bring in Ironheart 10 years from now. I always say that. I love Ironheart. I love Ms. Marvel. Amadeus chose Braun. I can go with that. Take its time, though, because we got some Fantastic Four and X-Men characters who are going to join this universe. Then the sooner they can join, the better, because they got to match the ages of at least of the original Avengers, or the current crop we have right now. I want some 30-year-olds versus 30-year-olds. Well, they'll be 40 by the time they actually square up. But I don't want to introduce these teenagers, because in the comic books, they're still teenagers. Today, Marvel Comics, Peter Parker is in his mid-20s, they just said in the issue number 13, I think. I know, issue number 13. He says I'm in my mid-20s as he's talking to MJ. So only a decade has passed in Marvel for Peter. They have 20-year-old problems that they can make movies out of for this character, Peter Parker, who didn't age because 5 years have passed for everyone else, and he's just back in the universe after 5 years. That's why he's back in school. It took me a while to understand that. I didn't understand it in my first review of this movie, which was like 5 minutes because they didn't want to spoil nothing. But I understand it now. I have a better grasp of what they did with time travel. It wasn't so much time travel as it was visiting branches of reality, as Doctor Strange's mentor, the Ancient One, explained. Before I get to the Ancient One, what she said, another thing she said was it was 2012. She goes, Stephen Strange is not here yet. Stephen Strange is going to be in 5 years, but right now he's doing surgery. 2012, 5 years from now would be 2017, which is when his movie took place. But in his movie, when it took place, there was also like a montage where he was learning his powers and whatnot. So this guy supposedly got really good by 2018's Infinity War. He had 1 year to be the sorcerer. So headcanon, to explain why he's so good, during that battle with Dormammu at Come to Bargain, he must have tried and failed multiple times. So many times that he knew how to reverse a black hole. When Thanos threw it to him, he knew how to turn that into butterflies. He must have tried so hard with Dormammu and failed, and his photographic memory, reading those books, remembered and reminded him spells and practiced so many times. That's why he's such a good Sorcerer Supreme. She said he's supposed to be the best of us. Maybe that was his training ground right there, where he got really good. So headcanon explaining parts of the movie that weren't. But with the branches of time, I love how they did it, and I could not find a flaw. The more I thought of it, the more excuses I made. I don't have my sling ring. I left it at the Sanctum, but I have Microsoft Paint. When she drew that golden line, she explained you take a time stone out, and here's the back line. That would be the 2012 timeline. Now I'm going to add more to it. You see the red, the purple, purple would be the 2014, where Thanos came out of. That's where they got the Power Stone. The red would be Asgard. So when Steve Rogers is going to go back and clip the branches, as he explains to the Hulk before he leaves, he needs to also go with the time stone. He needs to go to the 2014 purple time branch, reality branch, and he's going to say, I'm going to reverse time to before we knock out Quill, because if we knock out Quill and he's on the floor, hey, that's when Ronan's crew, Jimon Hansu's, this guy over here shows up. Remember that scene? Who? So right now, if they just leave the time branch the way it is, he'll walk by, who, and then get that orb, and that'll be that. Well, the orb won't even be there. But he's got to, in his briefcase, he didn't even have the orb. Oh! Okay, I can't make excuses for this. The Space Stone didn't have a Tesseract, didn't have the cube. The Space Stone, well, the ether was inside the liquid. All he had to do was inject Jane Foster one more time. But the cube has been shattered. Time Stone? Does the time... Yeah, man had Infinity Stones and went back in time. He can do anything he wants. So headcanon just going to explain that away. Man, that is a... I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it, I could explain it, just like every other thing that I thought about. But since I didn't think about it previously, I don't want to waste more time talking about it. All I'm saying is, he went to the time where Nebula and War Machine came into that branch, and he said, okay, well, I'm going to time stone rewind everything. The only thing missing right now, and he probably put the stone back, the only thing missing in this time branch is a couple of breaths of oxygen and my footsteps that I took to get into the temple of the Power Stone. And then he went to the ether, stuck Jane Foster back up. He saw Lady Freya, quantum, and he left. He joins his Peggy at the end. Now, the TV series Agent Carter, didn't watch it, but I know that it happened right after Captain America stuff. So she was single that whole time, no mention of him. He didn't make that rain check. Remember what he's asked her? He's like, yo, I'm going to need a rain check on that dance. And she said, meet me here at this ball, at this public place.
You're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
A week next Saturday at the Stork Club.
He didn't reach that place. He was dancing with her in a home. The home had an old-timey red car driving past. And it had a lot of, one window with a lot of trees covering the side of the house, He was living in private. In my headcanon, again, Chillmonger does a great job of making excuses for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In my headcanon, he was living in that home secretly his whole time. Yeah, he was like, he came out of ICE 2011. went back to 2023. He would have been 12 years older than what he was when he first got there. But if it was the 50s, let's say it was the 60s that he joined Peggy, because she did look a little bit older. Naturally, the actress Haley Atwell has aged along with Chris Evans. So let's just headcanon it up. Let's just say at 1970, after he returned the Tesseract, he said, "Hey Peggy," let's just say that. That doesn't explain the old car, but an old car can still exist in 1970. I see 20-year-old cars outside right now. Problem solved. So I explained away that. When I began this video and I wrote my notes, I was like, oh, I'm going to explain the time travel like this. He clipped the branches. But the more I speak about it, it just gets complicated as fuck. I hope you can follow along with it. Maybe my visuals can explain. But like these branches. Now, he's been old man living in secrecy. He probably had to hide the first 10 years. And then when he got really old, I had to just grow a little beard, eyeglasses, and he can blend in and he can do more stuff outside. But I'm saying that he's been living alongside the MCU this whole time. That first, line that I drew, that's not the branch that he's been living in. This whole time, the MCU's been happening at this branch above here. It was the Return the Tesseract in 1970 branch, and he just knew, if I play with anything, if I get Winter Soldier out, things are fucked. I'm living in the ice right now. I'm gonna let everything play out. I deserve this, and I know what I'm about to do in the future. And he was probably at rest. And he got to live his life. I don't know where he got that shield from. I hope he didn't go visit Branch. Well, he had Infinity Stones. All he had to do was ask for another shield. Game. Hey, we just explained the movie and all the... And that was at positives. Damn. Let's get to the... Is there any more positives over here? Mordo must have been snapped away because he wasn't doing his job with all the magicians, all the sorcerers who joined the fight. Yeah. A lot of sorcerers joined the fight. And... Wakandans, I think all the tribes were represented. We got some people from the Guardians storyline, some of them Ravagers. Howard the Duck was in there. One who doesn't make sense is why Wasp was there. I don't know when Doctor Strange would have met her. Doesn't make sense to me. That's a flaw in the movie. And let's just get to more of the negatives. No, let's stick on one more positive. During the battle, strongest Avengers were explained away. Incredible Hulk was in a cast after he did the snap that brought everyone back. And Taro Adun, but you can't be to your maximum right now. He still needed to hold. He could only hold that collapsed headquarters with one hand. And it makes sense why Giant Man was able to do it. Yeah, I know Hulk can whoop Giant Man in a fight, but this was, you gotta have surface area to lift in and break crumble those rocks and stuff. So yeah, that's fine with me. We get Doctor Strange was busy holding the water from the Hudson Bay or the Long Island Sound. I don't know my New York geography. And, well, Captain Marvel was away for most of the battle. When she finally did show up, the thing that got her was a Power Stone punch. Okay, we're back to the Power Stone being powerful again. Remember in the Infinity War movie, when Iron Man's shield could withstand, like Earth's technology, could withstand a beam from the Power Stone. Again, me making excuses, and I know this is weak. The Power Stone in physical proximity, when he had it pressed up against Thor, or when he punches Captain Marvel, hurts. Converting it into a beam, the Gauntlet's beams are not as effective as the physical stones themselves. Because I couldn't even explain further. Alright, anytime there's a beam, when Thor was throwing that axe in Infinity War, and the beam was being cut by that axe, well, that's because it's a beam. Talk to me about the stones. If you would have came with a stone and threw like a power stone at that axe, then the axe would have busted. And that's the headcanon in my head that's keeping this movie a 10 out of 10 and not bringing it down to a 9. He didn't invent the Iron Gauntlet in Infinity War. That's why that trick that he did at the end and answered, "I am inevitable" with I'm Iron Man, click. He didn't invent the Infinity Gauntlet yet, so he couldn't have done that move where the nanites connect and steal the stones away from what they're touching. Makes sense to me. Like the battle at the ending, all of it was there. All of it was sound. When Captain America was using light, it was consistent with everything that Thor has been doing with Mjolnir. You got to watch and see, oh, that's how it works. Cool. The moment where he was using his shield and frisbeeing it, hitting the shield and bouncing it off Thanos, it was inconsistent, consistent with what vibranium does. Sometimes it absorbs impact, and sometimes it can bounce off things. So, yeah. The fact that Captain America's shield broke by Thanos' weapon means that that was also vibranium or something not on our table of elements. All we know is we do know that vibranium can scratch vibranium in Civil War. The Black Panther got to scratch Captain America's shield, so that's not something new to us. It's known. Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark, and then the kid finally says Tony. At the end, called him Tony. Spider-Man's next movie, I really hope they will succeed in this movie if they put the man in Spider-Man and just have this guy grown and fucking no more childish stories. We've had Tom Holland movies do it and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. It's time to grow up. No more hey, and no more do a flip, Spider-Man. He's a man. He's seen some shit. He's been to space now. Life changing. He needs to man the fuck up because he needs to be the friend. The people in my theater were clapping when he returned. Be that man. Fill these shoes right now. Captain America and Tony, Captain America's out of the picture. Steve is still here. And I'm sure like in the next like major movie, he's gonna be like the old man Captain America running and fighting and shit. As long as he got the super soldier serum in his blood, he can still go. He can do this all day, as he says. Some more negative. During the snap, Thanos is in Wakanda. It's daytime. Ant-Man and Wasp, wherever the fuck in the world they are, probably San Francisco since he was just watching a drive-in movie theater in front of that laptop. It was daytime when he was snapped away with his family on that rooftop. And Clint, Hawkeye's family, it was daytime there too. Did Hawkeye have a hideout in Europe? Is that where it was in Age of Ultron? Is it a hideout in the United States? I don't know, but it can be daytime in so many places. Confusing. Come on now. And he dropped his arrows. You're telling me, you see your daughter fade away, your wife fade away, drops his arrows? Like, no! Annie up, because you need to go and do on some hunting because you don't know what's going on right now. That was unrealistic. Another part with his family is, after this snap happens, the phone starts vibrating and ringing. And it says Laura. It doesn't say the home phone, it says Laura. I wish I knew the number because then I could like analyze it more and get the area code and shit. He's not paying a phone bill for someone who died 5 years ago. He's not paying anything. He's a criminal. He's not living in the same place where he can provide payments. False. This is not happening. And if you think I'm overanalyzing it, welcome to Chillmonger. This is a review of Avengers Endgame. The rat could not... Like, I tried to reason. The rat... When Doctor Strange said he had 14,605 possibilities, I'm like, well, you see, that's why. Because there was 14 million. I had to take something like... Nah. Nothing Doctor Strange did up in Titan influenced this rat. This rat just happened to press on those buttons. I hope maybe he didn't press on those buttons and maybe it was just time for the machine. Maybe it had a... See? Headcanon. Hank Pym knew that if anything happens, I don't want anyone to be stuck in the quantum realm again like my wife Janet was. So I'm going to put an alarm or a timer. If 5 years pass without me clicking this button, then it will automatically click a button so that person can leave the quantum realm in a safe time. Chillmonger, I'm here for you. Marcus Aurelius, Philly, Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers. Chillmonger, don't forget to thumbs up that video. These are all off the dome. I didn't make up that scenario before I said it. But it's crazy that it's responsible for saving Tony. By the way, Ghost is who they were getting those particles for to save her in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's what he was spending his time in the quantum realm for. So she's fucked. She's gone. 2023. She only had 2 weeks to live that last time. Too bad. I guess the next movie is gonna be like Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Stature, because they didn't hire that new actress for nothing. I don't remember her age. It says so right there. That's how old she is. So there's a reason they're not going with child actors. Like that child actor I respect her. The child actor for Ant-Man and the Wasp, she did a great job, but we're not gonna wait for you. You know who child actor didn't do a good job? Tony Stark's kid, Morgan. I didn't like it, and if you did like it, tell me why you liked her, because I thought she was just reciting lines. Cheeseburger? Your dad likes cheeseburgers. Yeah, it wasn't timed correctly. I hope when she said shit that they were just telling her, hey, say this word, say spit, say lit. say fit, and there's probably like 100 words that they said. One of them happened to be shit, and one of them was the take that they used, but they didn't actually teach the kid to say swear words. Maybe they just don't give a fuck. Who knows? Fat Thor. I don't get it. Fat Thor. Dude is 1,500 years old. Let's get into the metabolism of this man. It's not the same as you and I. For him to lose himself after 5 years, it doesn't add up. Like 5 years for him, in a guy who's 1,500 years old, somebody can convert it, do the ratio, and do the math. It doesn't. You can't get that fat in 5 years. If 5 years to you is more like 5 weeks, you know what I mean? You do not get from superhero to that. And I don't like what they did. Chris Hemsworth, so many Chris's. Hemsworth does his hardest, get in the gym, look in that shape that he did, the physique that he had in Infinity War. These movies were shot back to back. So I don't think it's respectful at all to be asking him to do that. I know a lot of funny people are saying like, now I can finally cosplay as him. I would have took an out of shape Thor, not a comedically fat, come here little guy, like the whole movie they were laughing at. Even at the end when he was shaking Valkyrie's hand, because his hand was in the camera shot of his gut, people were laughing at that because they could see, oh, the belly is still there. I'm like, yo, we just saw these heroes sacrifice themselves and you're still laughing at too much. You guys went too far. Russo brothers, whoever's that was you, Russos. I know how comedic you guys can be. I'm sure the screenwriters just said he's gonna be fat, he's gonna be out of shape, but you guys just made him it's way too much. The back, just I'm a fat guy myself. Like I'm not gonna undress, but I'm a large guy. I got a little bit of a gut. I would have accepted a chillmonger, Thor, but I wouldn't accept that. That's just way too fat, comedically fat. Hopefully, with him being in that out of shape part, the next time we see him, he'll be in much better shape, and it will be a rest on the actor Chris Hemsworth. Hey, listen, you don't have to keep up to this unrealistic body. You don't have to do steroids or whatever system regimens you were on. Ease up on that. We don't require that from you. So maybe that's good for him moving forward. But he needs to slim down, get that Bowflex that him and Star-Lord were talking about in the first movie, Infinity War. Let's do that. And another thing, fat shaming. I don't care. You did this to yourself. If you're fat, I don't have sympathy. Nah, man, you did that to yourself. You were indulging in too much food. There's a reason you look like that. Be accountable. There's no fat shaming. You should be ashamed yourself. I don't get it. Obviously, we need to be nice to people and not say, "Hey, you're fat." Just that's what kids do to other kids who are rude and mean. We shouldn't do that to each other. But I can shit on this fictional character all I want for being way too fat and out of shape. And you deserve to be scolded if you look the way Thor. And I'm like 20 pounds away from 30 pounds away maybe from Thor. And that's why I should slow down there. Dude said Hail Hydra. I talked about that. The Ancient One. Did I say Hail Hydra? Well, long story short, Captain America never actually saw him say Hail Hydra. The Ancient One said that the Avengers fight the physical threats in Doctor Strange's movie, and we fight the mystical ones. Well, she happened to be fighting some physical threats in 2012. Nebula's network was reached in 2014. The movie didn't explain why. 2014 Nebula was on that network. She was in the middle of talking, in the middle of her day, minding her own business. And then it's like, it played the video. If she was on the network, like, it's time to check the network. What is this? That would have been much more logical to me. But if Nebula there is getting signaled, but our Nebula who visited this branch wasn't getting these signals from the network, it is space technology, but still don't make sense to me. Maybe, here. Headcanon, look at me, watch this. Well, you see, the network that they were joining had a satellite in the universe, in that large galaxy. The 2014 Nebula just happened to be at the headquarters of that satellite, and that's why she was so close to the main satellite that's reading this nebula from the future and this nebula from 2014. That's why she got the response. Holy shit, I'm getting feedback. She was so close to that cell phone tower. Khalas. Marcus and McFeely, Kevin Feige, Chillmonger, subscribe. Be my 70th subscriber. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's go. Some more negatives of the movie where Ebony Maw and Nebula using years. They did this in Captain Marvel too. They're an alien. They don't talk about years. A year for us is 365 days because that's how much days it takes for the sun to rise and be in the same spot. Someday, some time in the past, somebody actually counted this shit. probably year zero because we're living in 2019. I don't need Ebony Ma to be saying they're from 7 years from the future, 9 years from the future. Nah, unless Jesus is canon in Marvel. Hey, there he goes. There's my head canon working for you. One more. I'm getting blasphemous. I got to that. Wasp, how does she know Doctor Strange? And how does she hear the ugly brown van? Remember in the spoilers for Shazam. Ready? And you can skip to this time. No, fuck that. Fuck Shazam. So they made a joke out of we're so high up in the sky that us talking to ourselves, the wind, that you're so far away from me, I can't hear you, evil villain. Are you doing your big villain speech? That was the joke in the movie. But also in that movie, they were in the carnival and he was in Philadelphia and he was speaking down and come out wherever you are because Shazam turned back into a boy. Like they could hear it then, but they couldn't hear it then. In this movie, there's supposed to be a war going on. You cannot hear the ugly van. Who just messaged me? Not important enough. So there's an ugly van. You can't be able to hear that. Also, how did so many people get earpieces? Doesn't make sense. She's like, hey, Cap, we'll be right there. And she called him Cap. Remember they joke in Ant-Man and the Wasp where they're like, Cap, Tin America? And she was like, Cap, huh? Well, she goes ahead and uses it. They made every movie better. Ant-Man and the Wasp actually made this movie better, more so than Captain Marvel enhanced this movie for me because of the whole quantum bullshit. They made, yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp was great. They enhanced like Black Panther when what's his face Clint explains to him in Civil War, we haven't met yet. I'm Clint. I don't care. In this movie, yo, that's Clint. Clint, give me the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm gonna go and do my football practice. What else did they enhance? Let's start from the beginning. Iron Man was enhanced because they went back for that cheeseburger line. There's even the clink, clink, clink at the end of the movie during the post-credits. The next movie, Iron Man 2. What did they make better from Iron Man 2? I know in Iron Man 2, he says at the courtroom, I just want peace. I privatize world peace. And that's what he said to Captain America after he drove into the headquarters. I just want peace, he said, referencing that movie. The Avengers #1 movie was referenced, obviously, because they were... Ant-Man's first scene was referenced. The whole Hank Pym, Dr. fucking Hank Pym, Howard Stark, Peggy Carter, they were all working the same place at the same time, and it was like in the 90s at that first scene of Ant-Man, so we knew that they were working together. This was helped in this movie. We know that they've been together. It's not just the spur of the moment. Oh, I guess they were all friends in 1970. Not. They explained that shit to us. So Ant-Man 1 helped us in this movie. Age of Ultron, when dude almost lists Mjolnir, that was paid off in this movie. When he's talking about a planetary defense, we need a shield around this globe, but some people were too worried about their precious freedoms. That was referencing Age of Ultron. That movie got love in this movie. Winter Soldier was great because the elevator scene was an homage to the elevator scene in Winter Soldier. Also, when Howard Stark was looking downstairs, he was calling Arnhem, hey, have you seen Dr. Zola? And Tony said, no, I don't know who that is. Arnhem Zola, we learned in Winter Soldier that he was working with S.H.I.E.L.D. after he left fucking the bad guys. Well, he didn't leave the bad guys, he got caught. And Tony gave him like an MIT visitor's credential. I'm a visitor from MIT. So it's good to see 5 years later in 2023, this guy's been having a relationship with that university. So do I hear Ironheart? Because that's the school she goes to. I'm sure he was mentoring her, watching her, and maybe she'll get their artificial intelligence. Again, 10 years from now, I'm not ready for an Ironheart in Phase 4. None of the champions. Ragnarok, he lost his hammer, and he explained it to Korg, and Korg said, sounds like he lost a close emotional friend, some shit like that. Hearing that made it more epic when he got the hammer in his 2013 timeline branch. That was epic. Spider-Man's Activate Instant Kill was referenced in Homecoming. You know how they made other movies better? Like, I'm telling you, this movie was elite. This was for us. If you didn't... People saying that Infinity War is a much more better movie and story. Fine, I respect that opinion. If you're talking about story of him getting stones and finally succeeding and snapping his finger. But this, it's disrespectful to call it a movie. To conclude it in a word that every other thing that happens in theaters is. This was not a film, this was not a movie. This was a fucking Endgame. Avengers Endgame. I'm not playing like this. You had to be a fan. It was for fans. It was written by fans and directed by fans. Kevin Feige, big fan. This was our moment. This was greatness in 3 hours. Call it a movie, call it an episode 22 of Marvel. I don't care. This was elite. Is there another movie that they made better? I wrote here Captain Marvel. Okay, there's always going to be an explanation for her. Her neck little thing in her movie was why she wasn't so powerful and every problem took as long as it did. She was learning her stuff, and even that final battle, because she was educating herself, like when his name is Atlas, when he was like, you know, you're arrested, don't move. She's like, okay, and she blasted too far, and she kind of just slipped underneath him. She was learning her powers until finally she got to it. In this movie, she kept on saying, hey, I'm in space. She did that teleconference in space. So they just explained away every other major movie. Whatever happens in Far From Home, when something world-breaking and epic happens, we're going to know, hey, Carol's in space. Call her or beep her if you want to reach her, but she's going to take some time before she gets there. She took time to answer that Nick Fury call. Nick Fury dropped his little pager out in the streets in whatever city they were in, probably New York. And then by the time she had arrived, it had been like days afterwards for them to return from Wakanda back to America to the Avengers headquarters. That's like a day of travel. So we know that even if you do reach her, she doesn't show up. Meaning that in the Avengers movie, maybe Nick Fury did call for it. Yeah, he had his Avengers assembling and fighting it off. Yeah, they had the nuclear missile. But in the back of my mind, he's like, Carol, just answer your phone beep. And we might see in the next movie a flashback scene where she gets there like a dollar late, a dime late, a dollar short. You know the saying? She gets there just when it's too late. Maybe that's what happens and maybe that's what's happening in my head canon. I'm just saying she takes a long time to get there, and she was out in space. We're going to expect more cosmic stuff with her. Expect more cosmic stuff with the Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Should I just talk about the future of the MCU, or is that like a whole nother video? I feel like maybe this has been too long. I'm explaining the negatives of the movie. I got them all. Avengers Assemble, this is a preference of mine. I wish he wouldn't have whispered it, and I wish he would have just blurted it out like in Prisoner of Azkaban. Expecto Patronum! I need you to vocalize that Assemble shit. Some of them didn't hear you in the back. Some of the sources are wondering, should we be apart or should we assemble? That's what they're thinking, Captain America. You gotta speak up and enunciate assemble for the people in the back. I don't mean that at all. Should I end the video now? Yes, we are going to end the video there. This is Chill Manga. It's been great. I will predict the future of the MCU in another video, but I want this one to stand the test of time, and I don't want to make some false predictions in the end. Keep it locked on my channel. You can subscribe by clicking on the smiley face there, because you can bet I'm not done talking about Avengers Endgame. This is going to be a mainstay here on my channel. If you like reactions and comic book reviews as well, go look at my back catalog. I've done a whole lot of that stuff. Thank you again for watching the video. I love you 3000.